The gravy spoon slips from my fingers, clattering against the ceramic floor of my parents' beach house kitchen. Warm brown liquid splashes across my apron, a vivid reflection of the indifference I've carried from my family for as long as I can remember. In the dining room, just a few steps away, glasses clink amid laughter and chatter. They started without me. I stand frozen, listening to the cheerful din washing over the polished marble countertops. Mom had promised we'd all sit down together once everything was ready, but that was before Adrian's Tesla rolled into the driveway 2 hours ago, his designer luggage and winning smile instantly drawing my parents' full attention. To Adrian, my father booms from the dining room, thanking him for bringing the family together. The words slice through me like a knife. I've been here since Tuesday, chopping, seasoning, basting, and organizing every dish, while Adrian arrived empty-handed except for a bottle of wine someone probably gave him. Kneeling to clean the spilled gravy, my knees crack against the hard tile. Through the doorway, I see them all. Mom straightening Adrian's collar, Dad pouring him more wine, Aunt Sarah leaning in to hear his latest accomplishment. Not one of them notices I exist. 3 weeks ago, Mom started the family group text with her usual holiday cheer, suggesting they cook whatever Adrian liked this year, since he'd been so busy with his promotion. I suggested a change, maybe a dinner at that new restaurant on the bay, to give everyone a break. Traditions matter, she replied. Besides, you're so good in the kitchen. Translation, you're so useful in the kitchen. I grab a fresh dish towel, wiping the gravy from my hands, my fingers finally steadying. Something shifts inside me, a tectonic grind of awareness. I lift the silver gravy boat filled to the brim with the sauce I've perfected over hours. It belonged to my grandmother, who likely spent decades serving meals that went unappreciated just as I have. I walk into the dining room and place it firmly on the table. The metallic thunk echoes against the white tablecloth. 5 pairs of eyes glance briefly before returning to Adrian mid-story about a golf game with a potential client. Honey, Mom says without looking at me, could you grab some ice for Adrian's drink? My heart clenches. 2 days of cooking and now they ask for ice. The words rise unbidden. No. Silence hits the room. Adrian's mouth hangs open mid-sentence. Mom blinks, her practiced smile faltering. I'm sorry, I repeat firmer. No. Dad's face darkens. Your brother drove all the way from Tampa. 2 hours, I interrupt. He drove 2 hours. I've been cooking for 2 days. The moment stretches, filled with unspoken tension. My rebellion may cost me my place in the family I've devoted my life to, but my nose still rings in my ears as I sit down, pouring myself a full glass of wine. Across the table, Aunt Rachel catches my eye and offers the tiniest nod of acknowledgement. It's not much, but it's something. Later, I retreat to the kitchen. Thanksgiving has become a rehearsal of invisibility, and as I scroll through Mom's iPad, my suspicion is confirmed. Adrian's post brags about his special Thanksgiving menu and credits him for my dishes. Photo after photo shows him smiling with my parents, but not one features me front and center. 35 years of overlooked contributions crystallize into undeniable evidence. Marin, where's the pumpkin pie? Mom calls from the dining room. I place the pies on the sideboard, hands trembling. The conversation flows around me. Adrian's new house, his promotion, the china cabinet Aunt Sarah insists should go to him. My childhood hopes and the family heirlooms I longed for are casually handed to him while I remain in the shadows. I serve mechanically hollow as the truth sinks deeper. My value in this family is measured only by what I provide, not by who I am. Passing Aunt Rachel in the kitchen, she slips her hand into mine, her eyes speaking what no one else does. I see you. That quiet recognition almost breaks me, yet it also ignites a seed of resistance. As I arrange coffee and napkins, my mind drifts to the persistent family group text. Another message from Mom about Christmas plans for Adrian appears. Marin, could you come early to help set up? My thumbs hover, the audacity leaving me stunned. not a request, a directive. I toss the phone aside, the headache behind my right eye pulsing. The week that follows at work, the contrast is stark. Colleagues invite me to a holiday gathering, a family-free night of food and laughter. For once, my presence is valued without conditions. I feel a strange buoyancy, a freedom I've never allowed myself. That evening, I begin drafting an email to my family stating calmly, clearly that I will not attend Christmas at Adrian's. Years of invisible labor, chronic undervaluation, and relentless expectation weigh heavily, and I refuse to continue sacrificing my well-being for appearances. Aunt Rachel calls, offering quiet support. The gesture moves me more than any family acknowledgement ever has. Mom calls too, her usual disapproval tempered by surprise at my assertiveness. I stand firm, my plans are mine. The line between obligation and autonomy has been drawn, and for the first time I feel the thrill of choice. Christmas arrives with unexpected lightness. Key West sun warms my face as laughter surrounds me, unburdened by expectation. I choose joy, presence, and authenticity. The holidays stretch before me like an open road, a life no longer dictated by invisible servitude. I realize then that being truly seen, even by a few, outweighs years of hollow acknowledgement from those who never understood my worth. The days leading up to Christmas feel lighter than any holiday I've known. In Key West, turquoise waters stretch before me like an invitation to breathe freely. Jessica and I wander the streets, exploring the shops, laughing at Theo's exaggerated impressions of their bosses and savoring meals without counting whose preferences take priority. For the first time in years, I'm simply present, not serving as background to someone else's narrative. My phone buzzes intermittently, messages from Aunt Rachel checking in, teasing me about the chaos my absence has caused back home. Adrian's turkey instructions apparently have become a source of mild family panic. The realization humbles me in a quietly satisfying way. The work I've done has mattered, even if they've never recognized it. On Christmas Eve, Jessica and I settle in at a small beachfront hotel. I watch the waves and feel an unfamiliar serenity. I've spent decades believing my value was conditional, measured by how much I gave, how much I served, how invisible I could be while everyone else shone. And now, the scales tip. I savor a cocktail with ice clinking against the glass, unhurried, unpressured, and completely mine. Theo has already taken over the kitchen, enthusiastically experimenting with local seafood while laughing at his own mistakes. I feel joy in a way I'd almost forgotten existed, the pure delight of sharing moments without obligation. Back home, the texts continue. Adrian's complaints about who will do what at his dinner arrive like faint echoes from a world I've left behind. Dad's message is brief. We need to talk. But the urgency in it carries no weight over the freedom I'm feeling. For the first time, their concern doesn't demand immediate compliance. The rules have changed. My absence has created space for reflection for them, for me. I spend the next morning walking along the shoreline, collecting shells and debris washed in by the tide. The simple, repetitive motion of bending and straightening feels cleansing, almost ritualistic. I realize that this vacation isn't about escape. It's about reclamation, reclaiming space-time and agency that I've long surrendered. Each step I take leaves a faint imprint in the sand, easily erased by the water, yet the act itself matters. Evenings bring stories around a small bonfire. Theo and Jessica share memories of holidays, past failures, and triumphs alike. I laugh freely, no careful navigation required to avoid familial disapproval. We toast with wine fingers brushing over cups in celebration of chosen traditions. Here, my presence is an end in itself, not a means to someone else's gratification. The contrast with my parents' house, where my labor is invisible and my voice unheard, is sharp but liberating. By mid-December, I begin receiving scattered calls from my parents, each carefully measured, hesitant. Dad wants to discuss Christmas plans. Mom pleads for reconsideration. Adrian texts reminders, updates, and requests. Each reaches me, but I respond with a steady calm that surprises even myself. I'll be spending the holidays here, I say. We can plan family time another way. And I mean it. The words settle into me with a weightless certainty. A week later, I host a small gathering in my Orlando condo. The aroma of rosemary and garlic fills the kitchen. Rachel, Theo, and Jessica move effortlessly around the space, passing dishes and pouring wine. There's laughter, chaos, and warmth, all shared equally. For the first time, I am at the center of a celebration, without the pressure of serving as its unseen backbone. Plates are passed, stories shared, each person contributing what they can and enjoying what they receive. My Thanksgiving table is mismatched, unconventional, yet somehow perfect. I pour a glass of wine for myself without waiting for permission. The moment feels revolutionary. Rachel's gentle squeeze of my hand tells me what no family acknowledgement ever has. You belong here. You are seen. That phrase, simple yet profound, wraps around me like a comforting blanket. For the first time, I recognize that belonging does not require self-erasure. Later, as the sun dips behind the city skyline, I step onto my balcony and breathe in the cool evening air. My phone buzzes, a message from Dad, quiet, almost hesitant. Can we visit for Christmas? I pause, considering the request. I can acknowledge them, yes, but on new terms. I'd like that, I reply. We'll cook together, and I've planned a friends gathering on Christmas Eve that won't change. The answer feels like a declaration. I am no longer the silent servant. I am active participant in my life. Reflection settles in my chest as I watch the final preparations for the evening unfold. Even if my parents have never fully understood the depth of my contributions, I now understand the value of asserting my worth. The holidays, once a time of silent servitude, have become a testament to choice, boundaries, and self-respect. The patterns of my upbringing are acknowledged but no longer dictate my happiness. I've learned that asserting one's worth is not selfish, it is necessary. And in this newfound space, I recognize another lesson: love and attention, even from family, must not come at the expense of one's identity. For decades, I deferred my needs to serve the expectations of others. In choosing differently, I have reclaimed more than a holiday. I have reclaimed myself. The warmth of the Key West sun on my face, the laughter of friends echoing over the water, and the steady rhythm of my own heart tell me this is just the beginning. The weeks after Key West pass with a rhythm I've never known: work, friendships, quiet reflection. At the office, I arrive early, not to overcompensate or prove my worth, but to create space for myself. I complete my assignments efficiently and step away, without guilt. My colleagues notice the change. Jessica passes me coffee with a knowing smile, and even Dave from IT remarks on my relaxed demeanor. I realize that self-respect radiates outward. It shapes how others treat me too. The family group chat remains unusually silent. No complaints, no passive-aggressive requests, just an empty digital void. It's a small victory, yet it carries a profound weight. For decades, I've been the invisible laborer, the background hum of family life. Now my absence is noticed, not for my compliance, but for my absence itself. My contributions are missed, and that recognition, however indirect, validates my decision to step away. One Tuesday afternoon, my phone buzzes. It's Mom. I pause, steadying my breath before answering. Marin, we need to discuss Christmas arrangements, she says immediately. Her voice carries the familiar urgency, but this time, I respond with calm authority. I won't be coming to Adrian's, I state plainly. The silence on the other end stretches before she finally speaks, disbelief lacing her words. That's ridiculous. Of course you're coming. I meet her tone with the same quiet firmness. I've made other plans. Her voice wavers, attempting the old emotional pull. This is Christmas. Family comes first. I counter evenly. Family doesn't come first when it only demands my service and ignores my presence. I'm done being invisible. I hear the sharp inhale on the other end. No immediate retort follows, and I sense the rules of engagement have changed. The conversation ends with me asserting boundaries, unyielding yet calm. I feel a quiet strength growing inside me, one that has little need for approval. The next morning, I prepare my condo for a small gathering of friends and chosen family. Rachel arrives with dessert, Theo with wine, Jessica with takeout containers of freshly made food. The space buzzes with laughter and life, free from the invisible chains that have long bound me. As we set the table, I notice how different it feels to host on my terms. Plates don't need to match meals, aren't orchestrated for appearances, and the conversations flow naturally. I am present, not servile. Later, as we sit down to eat, I take in the room. Mismatched plates, bowls of mashed potatoes, salads, and desserts all contribute equally to the meal. No one is waiting for my approval or silently tallying the labor I've provided. I pour myself a glass of wine without asking and toast with Rachel. To traditions that nourish rather than drain, she says, her eyes bright with warmth. I echo her sentiment in my own mind, feeling the weight of decades lift. This holiday, I am seen appreciated and free. Evenings stretch into quiet reflections. I sit by the window watching the city lights shimmer, my phone buzzing occasionally with messages from Aunt Rachel or Theo sharing a joke. No demands, no expectations, just connection. I realize that family can exist in different forms, and the ties that sustain us are those that honor our presence, not exploit our labor. I've spent years bending to unspoken rules, sacrificing my needs for appearances. Now I claim my time, my energy, and my joy. As Christmas Day approaches, I receive a call from Dad. "Marin, your mother and I were wondering if we could visit," he says hesitantly. The request is unfamiliar, tentative. I pause, considering how to respond. I realize I can acknowledge them without surrendering myself. "I'd like that," I reply. "We'll cook together, and I've planned a friends' gathering on Christmas Eve that won't change." The silence that follows is different this time, muted, thoughtful, and respectful of my boundaries. Later, as I hang a photo from our Thanksgiving table on the wall, a scene of smiling friends around mismatched plates and shared dishes, I reflect on the lessons learned. For decades, I measured my worth by how much I gave, how invisible I could be, while others shone. Now I understand that claiming space for myself, asserting my needs, and saying no when necessary is not selfish, it's essential. The holiday has become a symbol of autonomy, of self-respect, and of chosen joy. Even in the quiet moments, I feel a subtle shift. Messages from Adrian and Mom arrive questioning my choices, but they no longer carry the same weight. I respond calmly or not at all, prioritizing my well-being above obligatory compliance. My body, once tense with anticipation and resentment, now moves through space with ease. My mind, once consumed with worry about others' approval, finally rests. I glance around my condo, the table set with friends' contributions, the room buzzing with laughter, and realize something profound. I am at the center of my own life now. Holidays, once synonymous with exhaustion and invisibility, are now my canvas. I can shape them, enjoy them, and share them with those who see me, not just my service. The lesson crystallizes. Life is not about endlessly giving for recognition, but about choosing when and how to give, while preserving one's own dignity. As Christmas Eve arrives, my condo feels alive with warmth and laughter. Theo experiments in the kitchen, tossing spices into a sizzling pan, while cracking jokes that make everyone laugh until their cheeks ache. Rachel arranges desserts on the table, her careful attention a gentle counterbalance to Theo's exuberance. Jessica flits between the two, ensuring no one spills wine on the counter, and no one misses a bite of the homemade pad thai she brought. The room hums with energy, unburdened by expectations or obligations, each person contributing joy rather than labor. I move through the room with a sense of purpose I've never known. I pour wine for guests without waiting for a request, serve plates when needed, but never overextend myself. Every action is deliberate, chosen, and free of guilt. The weight of decades of being overlooked begins to lift with every shared laugh and satisfied smile. For the first time, the holidays feel like mine designed for enjoyment rather than endurance. During a quiet moment, I step onto the balcony and watch the Key West sunset streak the sky in pinks and oranges. The gentle waves lap the shore, a soothing rhythm that contrasts sharply with the tension I've carried for years. My phone buzzes a message from Dad. I hesitate before opening it, bracing for a reprimand or guilt trip. Instead, it's simple: enjoying yourself. I pause, surprised by the lack of pressure. Yes, I reply, and it feels honest, unburdened. The message marks a subtle shift. He sees me existing outside the roles I've been assigned, and for the first time, he allows it. Later, as we gather around the small dining table, I reflect on how different this holiday feels. No one dominates the conversation, no one demands my labor, no one elevates one family member while dismissing another. Laughter flows freely. Stories are shared equally, and I am at the center not because I serve, but because I am present. The contrast with my parents' household is stark. There, my value was conditional, tied to endless labor and invisible contributions. Here, my presence alone is enough. That evening, as we toast to the holiday, I feel a wave of gratitude. Gratitude not for gifts or material comfort, but for recognition, autonomy, and chosen family. Theo raises his glass eyes sparkling and declares, "To creating our own traditions, ones that actually include everyone." Rachel laughs, echoing the sentiment, and Jessica adds, "And to Maren, who showed us it's possible." I feel a lump in my throat, not from hurt, but from the overwhelming relief of finally being seen. The following morning, I wake to a quiet condo, the soft hum of the air conditioner mingling with distant waves. I step onto the balcony, breathing in the salty air, and think about the choices that brought me here. For decades, I let others define my value, bending to their expectations and suppressing my own desires. But this Christmas, I've claimed space for myself. I've set boundaries that honor my worth and cultivated joy without obligation. A message lights up my phone. Aunt Rachel. Mom and Dad are talking about visiting after all, she writes. I pause, considering my response. This time, I feel no urgency, no compulsion to bend. That's fine, I reply. We'll make time for them on my terms. Even the words feel revolutionary. They signify not compliance, but choice. I've learned that family doesn't lose its meaning when boundaries are set. It gains depth when interactions are honest and mutual. Weeks pass and the holidays fade, but the lessons linger. I host small gatherings, balancing friends, colleagues, and family visits. Each encounter reinforces the same principle: my value is inherent, not conditional on service or invisibility. Adrian texts, occasionally puzzled by my absence and independent celebrations. Mom and Dad visit briefly, sharing a meal prepared collaboratively rather than me serving alone. Their expressions betray surprise, even discomfort, but also an emerging awareness that the rules have changed. Through it all, I realize the profound truth: self-respect is not a punishment for others, nor a denial of connection. It is the foundation upon which meaningful relationships are built. I am no longer invisible, no longer the quiet laborer in someone else's spotlight. My choices are my own, and my presence is acknowledged for what it is: significant, valuable, and autonomous. One evening, as I prepare for another small gathering, I pause and look around my condo. Friends laughing in the kitchen, the scent of roasting vegetables and fresh bread mingling with the warm hum of conversation. I understand something vital. Holidays are not about perfection or appeasing others or proving worth through service. They are about connection, joy, and presence. The meals are better because we share them willingly, the laughter richer because it is genuine, and the bonds stronger because they are chosen rather than demanded. I pour myself a glass of wine, raise it to the room, and feel a quiet pride. This is my life, my holidays, my traditions. And for the first time, I am fully, completely, and unapologetically present. The freedom, the joy, and the recognition of my own worth stretch before me like an open horizon. I know challenges will come, that old patterns may attempt to reassert themselves, but I am prepared. I have learned that asserting my value is not selfish, it is survival, growth, and fulfillment. The following year, Thanksgiving arrives with a quiet confidence I've never known. My Orlando condo fills with familiar faces: Rachel, Theo, Jessica, and a few colleagues who have become chosen family. The kitchen hums with life, not obligation. Everyone contributes, chopping, stirring, laughing, sharing stories. No one expects perfection, no one measures effort, and no one takes credit for what is not theirs. I watch it all unfold with a sense of calm authority, feeling deeply present in a space that recognizes my worth. As the turkey roasts and the mashed potatoes are whipped to perfection, I reflect on how far I've come. Last year, I stood in the doorway of my parents' dining room, ignored and overlooked, while Adrian basked in attention and praise. This year, I am at the heart of the celebration, not because of what I do, but because of who I am. My smile is genuine, my laughter unburdened by obligation, and my sense of self fully intact. Midway through the meal, my phone buzzes. It's Dad. I hesitate for a moment before answering. "Marin," he says cautiously. "Mom and I wanted to see if we could join you for Christmas." I take a deep breath, steadying my response. "Of course, but things will be different. We'll cook together. Everyone contributes. No one serves alone." I hear a pause, a sound of recognition perhaps that the rules have changed. "That sounds fair," he replies, tentative but willing. Even in the cautious tone, I feel progress. After the call, I step back and take in the scene around me. Plates of food, laughter, shared stories, and glasses raised in toast. No one is competing for attention. No one is waiting for someone else's approval. I catch Rachel's eye and see a smile that mirrors my own joy, born not of compliance, but of presence and choice. The realization settles in: I am no longer the invisible laborer of my family's narrative. I am a participant, a creator, and a witness to my own life. Later, after the dishes are cleared and the room hums with contentment, I find a quiet moment to myself. I pick up my phone and scroll through the messages from last year, the texts demanding my service, the implicit expectations, the reminders of my place. I read them without anger now, without resentment. They are relics of a version of myself I no longer inhabit. I am not beholden to the invisible chains of obligation, nor to the approval I once sought at such great cost. I set the phone aside, feeling lighter than I have in decades. Christmas comes, and the Key West sun warms my face as I relax on the balcony with Jessica and Theo, reminiscing about our first holiday there. Laughter bubbles easily unrestrained, and the air is alive with freedom. I realize that joy is not found in service or sacrifice, but in choosing how and with whom to share your life. The memories of cooking for invisible applause and enduring unnoticed labor fade, replaced by gratitude for those who see and honor me. Weeks later, back in Orlando, I host another holiday gathering. My parents visit briefly, participating without demanding, observing without criticism. Adrian texts, puzzled by my absence at his beach house, but I do not respond immediately. My choices are mine, and they no longer hold the power to define me. I have created boundaries that protect my energy, honor my contributions, and assert my presence. This autonomy is not defiance, it is a reclamation of self. The holidays now stretch before me like open roads, free from the weight of conditional love and invisible service. I cook because I enjoy it, laugh because it delights me, and host because I wish to not, because anyone expects it. I have learned that asserting boundaries is not selfish, that saying no is not unkind, and that self-respect is the foundation for meaningful connections. The lessons crystallize into a simple truth. Life is richest when we honor our own worth while choosing relationships that honor it in return. One evening, as I hang a photograph from last Thanksgiving, friends gathered around a table, faces bright with genuine smiles, I feel a deep sense of peace. This table, this celebration, this life is mine. The lessons of past holidays, the silent sacrifices, the invisible labor, all have led me here. I now know that love and connection are not measured by how much you give, but by how freely you allow yourself to exist. I pour a glass of wine, raising it in a silent toast to the journey that brought me here. To self-respect, to chosen family, and to the courage to claim one's space in the world. To knowing that saying no is sometimes the most powerful way to say yes to yourself. I sip, savoring the moment, the laughter, the freedom. And for the first time, I am not merely present, I am fully, unapologetically, joyously alive. If you've ever felt unseen, undervalued, or exhausted by expectations that don't honor your worth, remember your presence matters, your boundaries matter, and your joy matters. Celebrate yourself as fiercely as you celebrate others. Share this story with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe for more journeys of self-discovery, and comment with the ways you've reclaimed your own space.